In this video, we're going to take a look at the buttons and controls at the top of Ableton Live. So here in the middle, you can see the play, stop, and record buttons. And these are called the global controls because you can play and stop and record individual clips. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a later video. But really, these buttons are like, designed for arrangement view. I mean, they do work in session view, but in my mind, they're mainly for arrangement view. So if I just press play and stop, if I have a track record armed, I can record into arrangement view with this button. And you can see the main counter here that shows you your bar, your beat, and your sub beat. So this would be like bar 1, beat 4, and then sub beat 2. And it can change depending on your meter and things like that. Over here are some more advanced buttons that we're going to get into in more depth in later videos. But just briefly, this is the MIDI overdub button. If you are recording MIDI notes and you need to add MIDI notes to something you already recorded, like layered on top in the same clip, if you click that button, the notes will layer on. If that button is turned off, then the MIDI notes will be overwritten. They'll be destroyed. But with that on, you're good to go. And again, I'll show that to you in more detail in a later video. These two buttons here deal with automation and can it be automated. This is a really cool button. This is the capture button. So sometimes you might just be like noodling around with Ableton. You're playing on a MIDI keyboard or a MIDI controller or maybe an Ableton push, and you hit this like great idea and you weren't recording and you're like, ah, man, I wish I had that. That's what this button does. You click the capture button, and if you were just playing something, it will capture that as a clip. This is the session view overdub button. So this is the same as this, basically for the session view clips for MIDI. So if I wanted to add notes on top of this drum beat here, I would want to press this button as opposed to, trying to record it. There's no record button on this clip, so you'd have to click that. This is your loop controls here. You can turn loops on and off. So for instance, if I have a loop from bar 5 to 9, I can loop that with Command L, and then I can turn that loop on or off. And then these are punch-in controls. So if I was recording, I could start playing back here and it would only record in this loop section. And this tells you where it starts and how long the loop is. Over here on the right, we have some advanced controls. This is your pencil tool. This is the key to press. If you don't have a MIDI keyboard, you can use your typing keyboard as a MIDI controller. It's not velocity sensitive or anything, but it works. I use it a lot in airports. Key mapping and MIDI mapping are advanced features we'll get into later. This shows you your current sample rate, and bonus, if you click on it, it opens the settings for the whole program. This is your CPU meter and some other meters here. Over here, we have some tempo controls. So this is how you set the tempo, and you can drag it in real time if you want. So if I play this, slow jam. You can also temporarily nudge the tempo up with these buttons. This would be more like for DJs because it will bounce back to the original tempo when you let go. But if you're trying to match it to something that's playing in the outside world, you can do that. And then this makes it go slower. This is a very important button. This is your metronome button. So this is really important when you're recording or if you're trying to quantize MIDI or audio. It has this click here. Now you can actually control the volume of the click with this slider right here. You can make it louder or softer. If you're in the session view window, then that control is right here. It's a volume knob with a set of headphones. It's like called your Q volume. Over here we have the global quantization I talked about in a previous video. And then here, this controls how the notes, the MIDI notes, are displayed in Ableton, whether they're going to be in a scale or not in a scale. Are they going to use flats or sharps? There's a couple of other ways to control that too. And finally, over here are some pretty cool buttons. This is tap tempo, so you can tap along to something and it will give you the tempo. Link is a really cool thing, but you have to have multiple devices running Ableton, or at least running Link. There are a lot of hardware and software and computer devices where you can sort of tie your transports together and sort of jam out wirelessly, and that's fun. And then the follow button is if you want to set Ableton to detect and follow the tempo of incoming audio. Finally, this button right here just hides and shows the browser, and this button all the way over here switches you from session view to arrangement view.